Fighting games are known for one thing above all else: difficulty. Normally people are talking about stuff like combos and quarter circles and other shit like that. This isn't going to be about fighting game execution though, as there's another type of difficulty lurking in the depths of the genre: single player. Which, as anyone who's played a fighting game pre 2017-ish, knows, contains some of the most terrifying video game bosses known to mankind. And some of those bosses, as with any genre, go above and beyond. And very few bosses come close to exemplifying this trait more than Rugal Bernstein. Last time, on Best Fighting Game Bosses, we talked about a foe whose greatness came from subtext and narrative. But this time, we're talking about pure gameplay. Rugal is probably, without question, one of the most notorious fighting game bosses of all time. For a damn good reason. No matter what version of him you fight, since they keep bringing the bastard back, besides maybe KOF 15, you know you're in for a bad time. But funnily enough, I consider his first appearance to be one of, if not his best. The King of Fighters 94's narrative is, honestly, nothing special in the slightest. It's basically just a standard tournament with a bad guy pulling the strings, which honestly sums up the entire series, which admittedly is pretty entertaining considering these tournaments keep happening, and even the series itself eventually starts making fun of itself for this fact. So at least SNK is aware of how ridiculous these tournaments run by evil assholes constantly being ran is. Don't get me started on the gods and shit here. Honestly, the whole premise of what makes this fight remotely interesting from a narrative perspective is compared to the rest of the series where you're fighting cyborgs and gods and shit, is that Rugal is basically just a guy. He's nothing more than an evil arms dealer looking for strong opponents. Admittedly, he's far more terrifying than the average arms dealer in video games, considering, everyone he beats gets encased in metal and added to his collection. And what's nice about him is that he's foreshadowed throughout the entire game, with the opening cutscene showing the invitation signed with nothing more than R. And at the halfway point of the game, you get a cutscene of him commenting on the player's selected team, and once the player has defeated the last remaining team, they are invited to his base of operations, the aircraft carrier Black Noah, where he reveals his plans, and boy does he have a collection. Like, we got poor Fei Long over here. Is that Akuma? One sec. Okay, so Super Turbo came out a few months before 94, so it is possible. But most likely my brain making assumptions though. Also, if you play the Japan team, he kills Kyo's father. Thought that was worth mentioning. Anyways, the sheer number of statues sets quite the precedence about his skills, and then we have the actual fight. Now, King of Fighters 94 is no walk in the park as a game. I'd like to draw attention to the fact that I'm playing on the lowest settings the Arcade Archives version has to offer, and it still takes me a while to get through it. For some reason, it's always the American sports team and the women's team that gives me the most trouble, and I cannot explain why. Rugal himself, despite just doing punches and kicks, is no pushover, as he's incredibly tall, which makes him hard to approach and punish, as well as everything doing high damage and even a good amount of chip. Once again, lowest setting. Mind you, I also suck at video games, or at least have gotten worse due to not really playing fighting games that much for a while. But he'll eventually go down, and the day is... oh no. Oh god. Oh shit. Oh shit. Shit. Fuck! And this is why he's so notorious. Once the jacket comes off, it's an entirely different fight. let's break this monster down to truly understand the terror in front of us. He still has his incredible normals, his throw alone chunks off at least a third of a life bar, he has Geese Howard's Repouken, which is already a strong move on its own, and it does a ton of damage and is super fast, Krauser's Kaiser Wave, which you have to block or try and dodge as fast as you can as you can't jump or challenge it, he has a Reflector that will bounce back all projectiles and can deal damage on contact, God Press is a terrifying rush that on contact will slam you against the wall so hard it breaks paneling, and also does obscene damage, and puts you in the worst possible place to be fighting him. But of course, let's be real, none of this compares to the move, the myth, the legend! Genocide Cutter is a move that earns its name, no questions asked. This move is arguably better than entire fighting game characters in my opinion. I'm sorry, Missing Link Pot, I know you're trying your best. Like, put this move on pretty much any character and they instantly become better. It's lightning fast, has some good invincibility as far as I'm aware, barely any end lag. Oh, and if both hits connect, it could do up to 75% of your life bar. You also have to remember that that was just the move on its own. We still have to put into context the rest of his kit, in which Repouken alone makes you want to jump at him, which sets you up perfectly to get hit by this thing, which in turn will instantly cost you one of your 3 characters, and this is assuming, mind you, that you still have 3 after phase 1. In short, he has a move for almost every situation, every single one of them hits way too hard, and is the best of that kind of move in the game. Oh right, before I forget, this perfect moveset is also on a borderline perfect play AI, even on the lowest setting. Anyone who has fought this guy can tell you how terrifying he is. And that, dear viewers, is why he's one of the greats. Because you'd think he'd just be your standard fighting game villain of the week, which on a basic plot level he is. But through gameplay alone, he made a name for himself, and is one of the founding fathers of the term SNK boss for a reason. And there's a good reason why they keep bringing the bastard back after all this time, and in some cases using him as a template for future encounters. That's pretty much all there is to say about Rugal. See you next time, and thanks for watching.
And we fall into each other's arms. Aww, this is so romantic.
Let go of me, you bastard!